Hello, dear ones. Welcome back to my channel. You know, I don't know how I have done this. I have been doing it, sharing a video almost daily for over a year, quite a bit over a year. And I have no idea why I'm doing it, how I'm doing it, where it's coming from. It's kind of bizarre because, when I am with friends, depending on whom, many times I don't say a whole lot because I can't really engage in the spin of the conversations that people are having. And so, they talk about all the things that are going on in the world with a lot of emotion about it, behind it. And there's nothing in me that is moved or inspired to engage in that. I like to engage with my friends, but not with those conversations. They don't do anything for me. It feels like, if I'm going to say something, it's like throwing something in the mix. But the bottom line is, as you probably know, is that most people are not listening anyway. So maybe a question could be, is it possible to remain still in the storm of humanity? And it is, of course it is, but we need to remove ourselves first from the storm. And we need to be the eye of the storm. And that's not an eye that you look with, it's your I am presence. That is where the storm of humanity, the spinning, the craze, the projection, the arguing, the emotional projections, doesn't touch it. And the more you rest in there really is not much interest in engaging with that. So I think there's something to be said for just learning to rest in the stillness, in the presence of your own essence, of your true being. And what other can that be than I? I am. That is where we can rest and lean back into while the world is spinning and while everybody is spinning along with it. And as they're spinning, they're trying to make sense of what's going on in the spin. They're trying to stop the spin or maybe speed up the spin, change the spinning. There's so much going on when you're in that whirlwind, that storm. You cannot help it because when you're in that storm, the storm has got you. So we do need to get out of that storm. And one very powerful way is to start realizing our attachments, there are many, to the storm. And a storm, of course, is what I call the false matrix or the veil of illusion. That's where all this spinning and churning and arguing and whatever, trying to stop it, change it, speed it up, that's all happening there, and that's all happening in the mind. If we do not have that resting place inside, which is our true nature, which is our I am, we're not we're not we're not being the solution. We are being part of the problem. And being part of the problem is many times trying to change the problem, trying to improve the problem, trying to whatever, but it's all happening in that storm. And if you've ever been in a storm, I think we all have, more, some of you probably more than others, you can't stop it. You cannot stop a storm. It's impossible. And the same is when the mind is doing its spinning, which I think we all know that happens. You can't stop it, but you can go to a different place. If it's an external storm, I don't know, probably go inside where the storm is not touching us, if that's possible. If you're in some kind of a tornado or something, I don't know, I don't have the answer for the physical, but the inner I am is always still, and it is always the solution, or the solution. And we need to learn, we need to realize that and wake up to that. I don't know if there's another way. Certainly, we can do things out there to maybe soften the storm, um, ignore it. Maybe there's again, you need to feel and find what resonates with you. My resonance, my inspiration and guidance is always, always, always to come back to I am. And that is also the heart. To me, the longing in the heart is my I am calling me or connecting with me or getting my attention. So that works for me. And of course, I can only share with you what works for me, what is my experience. And then if it resonates for you, you can try it on. But I think it might be a good idea today to just take a few minutes and just connect with I am. So actually what comes to mind is, when Moses went up to the burning bush and then he came down, I don't know the whole story, but he came down and or up there, he heard, I am that I am. That's it. That is basically all we need to know, but we need to realize it. He didn't say, I am that I am, or I am that I am. It's like, I am that I am. I am that I am. That is the divine. The divine's I, or I am, is the same as mine. It's not like I have a separate I am from the divine. There's only one I am. And of course, I am, what is it? It's two words, right? What does that mean? Or just I, it's one word, it's one letter. And but it has to be realized. And we need to take some time to still that storm enough so we can rest back and really go into that inquiry, the one that Ramana Maharshi had people do, like, who am I? And I think Robert Adams, also in that lineage of the Advaita, or the non-dual, he would say, what am I? Because if you say, who am I? It's almost like it's a person, right? It's something personal. Where we say, what am I? It's much more open. And then it's like, yeah, what am I? So I always like that better, but whatever one works for you. So the I am that I am. So now we need to find out, okay, where do I find I am? Well, we say I and I am all day long. I want this, I like that, I don't like that, la, 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 I have to, I don't want to, I must, I. That is the one that we are identified with, because that I is not the I am that I am. The one that we call I all day long, in my case, that would be I am Pernilla, because that is the separate sense of self that I have taken on, pretending that that's me, that I'm not, that I'm separate, I'm not connected to the true I am that Moses talked about. So let's take a moment if you're able to right now. Otherwise, you can listen to this if you're driving or something. It's probably not the best place to do it. But if you just can take a moment, and maybe if you're multitasking, just stop it for a moment. And then just say to yourself, I am Pernilla. In my case, you can say I am and then your name. And just get a sense of that. Get a sense of I am your name. Feel what experience that gives to you. There might be a lot of emotions or thoughts or memories or longings or wishes or likes or dislikes, pains and aches and, successes and failures. This is the one we identified all day long. And we say, I am Pernilla in my case. And I know Pernilla because since she was born, I know all these things have happened and all these emotions have been stirring in her and yada, yada, yada. That's the whole package that's called I am Pernilla and your name in your case. So see if you can just get a little bit of a sense of that feeling of who you have been identifying with your whole life. There's nothing wrong with that. That's how it's been. But there is more available to us now than ever before. So if you just have a little bit of a sense of that, oh yeah, I know myself. I know this one. I've been with this one since I was born, and I know everything about her or him or whatever. Like, yeah. So feel that familiarity of the identity of your name that you call I am. Can you get a little bit of a sense what that is? Because it's actually quite important to distinguish what we're doing now to where we're going. So you can feel like, yeah, this is me. This is me. There's like a confirmation. Yeah, this is your name. This is your gender. This is your role. And now I'm going to ask you to drop your name and everything that goes with that. The name, again, is just a name, but the name, that's a whole identity. That's the separate sense of self that is disconnected from the divine, at least in perception. As long as we identified with our name, with our gender, with our roles, whatever, then it seems like we're separate. And that's why we have a whole life. We have a whole life experience and we can talk about it. And that's what people often talk about. They talk about their life and their experiences and this and that. And that's all very wonderful and social. As long as you enjoy it like that, then enjoy it. But if you want to take maybe the next step and start realizing that you are more than that identity, that separate identity, just see, you can again say, I am your name, and feel that, feel what that means to you, what it feels like to you, what you know about yourself. And now I'm going to ask you to drop your name and that whole identity and just say, I. or I am, nothing else. So you drop that cloak, that garment with your name. That's gone now. It's not here, except if you bring it back in your mind. So just do the best of your ability, let it go, and then say, I am. And you will notice that there is still something here. When you drop the identity, you're still here. I am is still here. And you sense that. You can say it again. I, or I am. And it's as if you let yourself lean back into a very different sensation than when you did it with your name. Now we don't have that anymore. Now we just have I am left. It's just standing on its own now. So now I'm going to ask you to just turn your attention towards I am, whatever sensation is there, whatever experience is there. You might experience some kind of presence or an energy or something that is very different than what your mind normally identifies with. So it's very subtle. It's very still. It's almost like a whisper in the beginning. So you have to be very still and then turn your attention towards I. I am with an open curiosity. It's as if you want this I am that you have maybe never really focused on, like we're doing now. It's if you turn towards it and you say, okay, I am now, I want to know what I am. You can say who I am or what I am, but it's a curiosity where you literally do not know. So don't try and add something to it. Don't put a label or a name or an age or a role. Don't put anything on it. Just see if you can be so curious and just say, okay, there's something here. There's something left when I am not your regular identity. That is where we want to put our attention. This is where we go to be in the stillness of the storm of humanity, of the world, the matrix. We go to I am. For most of us, we need to do this, make this a practice, because the mind is so conditioned, so programmed to grab on to the identity that we thought we were. So it takes a practice to keep like, no, not right now. I want to know, what am I? What is this I? I say it all day long. And when I let go of the identity, there's still something here, right? You're still here, but it's not your name or identity. There's something here, and it's often being overlooked. And today, we're going to meet it like that, just like we did. So if you can take some time every day, if you want to know who and what you are, if you really want to know it, if you have a longing to know it, go to the longing and ask, what is this I? This I am. And then be still to the best of your ability and just wait and be curious. Be very attentive. Don't expect it's going to look a certain way, because it's not. It's going to be very different than your mind could ever conjure up. So this is the place we go in the middle of a storm. And I would say, whether it's a physical or a mental or an emotional, we can always go here. And we do bring a different energy to the world when we rest here.